they created a new Masters of the Universe
I
called the
remember that.
Masterverse.
I remember that when I was a kid.
And everybody loves Masters of the Universe. Well, they created a new one on Netflix, and I bought thinking everybody's going to want this new Masterverse stuff, and no.
This is Small Business Celebration, where we introduce you to successful small business owners at their place of business so that you can learn something that you can use today to grow a strong and profitable business and get your next big breakthrough.
Michael, I think I found one that looks just like you.
Oh, what is it, Producer Emily? It's very, very nice. It brings out my eyes. Welcome to another fantastic episode here on Small Business Celebration. We're going to be talking about how to use the power of micro niches to carve your own path. We're also going to be talking about how to use celebrity partnerships to increase your brand's perception. And to guide us through all this is Jim Gillis, the owner of KRRJ Collectibles. Welcome to Small Business Celebration.
Good to be here.
And for Visioneers who don't know who are you and what is it that you do?
My name is Jim Gillis. I'm the owner of KRRJ Collectibles. We're a toy and collectibles shop here in Bakersfield, California. We've been established since about 2019. We sell everything from Funkos, action figures, designer art toys, lounge fly bags and purses, anime statues, designer art toys, all sorts of stuff. It's just a fun place for people to come and find something they can't find anywhere else.
This is a fun place to visit. This just didn't happen by accident.
No.
Because you've been an entrepreneur since you were what?
About 12, 13, yeah.
And what was the first thing you sold?
I wanted to make money when I was in junior high, and I started buying candy and gum, and I would sell that to the kids at school. I'd make like $5-10 a day, and it's just a good way to get some extra cash.
So you were one of these kids that would have the backpack and you'd be in the corner of the hallway, hey buddy, you want some,
Jawbreakers, lemon heads, bubble yum, just things that people didn't, back then you just sell them for like $0.25 a piece.
What did you do with that money when you first got it? Did you go spend it and stuff your face with more candy?
It was a little bit of everything.
Okay.
One thing that you always do is you reinvest in your business, so you got to go back and buy more product.
Sure.
So once you've bought more product, then you got money to spend. Back then was when Walkmans first came out.
Nice.
Go to Tower Records and buy, some records or cassettes, things like that. Things that you want as a kid that your parents may not necessarily have had the money to get for you.
Fast forward, 10, 15 years or so, and you started a very lucrative business selling stuff on eBay.
Yes, I used to sell a lot of items on eBay. I'd close out stores, I'd buy different things, and because not everybody can find everything everywhere, meaning that the beauty of eBay is that you could find something that you couldn't find locally. I had created a very successful business. We did pretty well for quite a while.
What made you open up this location?
This actually cost less than being on eBay.
Really?
Yeah. My eBay fees were between $5,000 to $8,000 a month.
That's rent.
Yeah. And that's where I finally had decided that instead of paying them all the money,
right?
What if I actually created something that people could come to? It could be a destination place. I always liked when I was growing up, you could go to the comic book store and talk with people and have fun, have conversations, talk about the movies you loved,
right?
The movies you just watched, maybe sports, whatever. I wanted for people to be able to feel, especially adults, feel like kids again, be able to go in like a kid in a candy store, so to speak.
Where does KRRJ come from?
My wife and I would make custom Funko Pops.
Okay.
Her initials are KR and mine are RJ.
Ah.
To make a really cool logo, I actually designed our logo ourselves. I took the two R's and put them together.
Nice.
So that's why you see her and I are put together. One of us is wearing pink and one is wearing orange.
Nice.
And we actually kind of look like Funko Pops. So it's my wife's first two initials, my first two initials, and we used to be called KRRJ Customs. And then when I decided to open the store, I went with KRRJ Collectibles. My son bought me a Super Saiyan Goku Funko Pop and gave it to me as a gift. And I thought the thing was so cute and cool that I decided I wanted more of them. And then I started collecting more of them. And what happened was I found out that I needed to order multiple ones to get the kind of box I wanted. And then I decided that, hey, I've got extras, I can just sell them. And I found out that sometimes I could sell them for a profit. So that got me into buying more and more. And then I said, well, why don't I just turn this into a business? And started buying them wholesale and became a retail.
So if I wanted to come in and look for a Justin Jefferson, Minnesota Vikings item, how would you direct me, or how would you find it in this big labyrinth of inventory you have?
So on items that we have quantities on,
Right.
we have special shelves for those to where they're mostly organized by type. So all of the sports are together. So we've got, like with the Funko Pops, we've got a Justin Jefferson Funko Pop.
Right.
Now that's the only thing we have for him right now.
Right.
But I know where he's at. He's over with the other Pops.
Right.
With our other stuff, we may have one, and then what it is it's what we call a hunt. One of the things about toy and collectibles is that hunt. They call it the thrill of the hunt, of
Right.
finding something.
Right.
So we've got shelves to where we've got just like single items, or we've got 2 items. And like for the Funkos, they're all in those shelves and you have to look for them. I may or may not have it. At one point I probably did. And if I still do, great. You find it, you get that joy of finding what you look for. But on most of the stuff that we've got quantity on, they are by kind and type together. So we try to keep them as close together as possible.
Are there any collectibles that are evergreen, meaning they never go out of style?
There's a lot of them. We actually have quite a few. You have things like anything from Dragon Ball Z. That show's been out for 30 years.
Right.
You've got Gundam models, which have been going on since the 80s.
Right.
So you have items, Star Wars figures. I mean, we're talking since the 70s.
Right.
So we have tons of items that are that way because they're always going to be someone who wants them. And what happens now is that you have parents that are having children that bring their children into that. And they're like, oh, I want to go get them. I don't want them playing with my really expensive one. Let me go get that. So they'll do re-releases and they'll bring out new versions. We call them retro news and things
Right.
like that. But there's a lot of items that are that way.
And if you've got more action figures than you know what to do with, perhaps what you need is a new house. Might I suggest you reach out to Mike Saba, a Zillow Premier Agent with Watson Realty. Born and raised and never left Bakersfield, give Mike Saba a call at 661-203-8406 or reach him at mikesaba1@icloud.com today. And Visioneers, if you've got a question, if you've got a thought, something you'd like to learn about here on Small Business Celebration, reach out to us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram, and your question could be answered just like Frank, who asks, we're tired of feeling lost in the vast ocean of competition. How do you use your power of micro niches and learn how to carve your own path?
In this community, there are a few different ones. I specialize in Funkos. I specialize in anime statues. Our Funko collection here is probably one of the top 10 in the entire country.
Congratulations.
We carry over 2,500 different ones. We try to have a really large selection for people. We also have close to 500 anime statues. You just don't find those everywhere. The thing is to kind of drive that is to have what not everybody else has. You can try to have the same as everybody, but
Right.
Why would you go to the place that always has the same as everybody else?
Right. How have you been able to leverage that?
I have driven the business by people knowing that I sell things at retail. I do have some things that are above retail because they're older, harder to find, but the majority of my stuff is at retail. Most of the other stores that are in this kind of, I don't know how
Space?
you say it, space, they're above retail.
Oh, so they're trying to gouge you is what they're trying to do.
We have a saying here, it's called the flippers. They buy an item, they sell it for a markup.
They're not invested in it.
Right.
They're just looking for the quick buck.
And I look at my store as I'd rather do volume than make all my money on one item. So I work towards trying to have more for people. My store is a retail store. I'm not a all marked up store. I do have items that are marked up,
Right.
but the majority of my stuff is just retail plus tax.
You've got so many different options in here. How do you know what to source?
I'm making the assumption that you're making what to buy.
Yeah, because there's a lot.
It's extremely difficult. In this industry, probably about 25% of the stuff you buy, nobody's gonna buy. I'm gonna say that in the collectibles industry at any time, you can buy over 100,000 different items. Well, how do you decide what's gonna do that? And sometimes you miss, and you miss a lot. You know, we talked sports a little bit before outside of this. I look at it like a baseball player. If you can hit 3 out of 10, you're gonna make quite a bit of money as a professional athlete. In this, if you can hit 5 out of 10, you're doing really, really good. But 3 out of 10 is really what you're looking for. I know what the big animes are. I make sure I order things from the big animes. We know what the new Marvel movie is coming out. We know what the new Star Wars movie coming out. The new DC movie, whatever it is, something that's coming out new. And you're not always going to get everything. You're going to miss on stuff, and you're going to have like what happens right now where, you know, 2 or 3 people a day come in and they're all asking for the same thing that you don't have because you missed on it, and it's impossible to go backwards and go back and get it.
And hopefully that Marvel movie that's coming out that you were buying for is a hit, because not all the Marvel movies have been a hit.
And that's what that really does happen. What makes this really tough in this industry is you have items that are with a specific product, meaning that the Flash movie that had come out, you order everything because everybody loves the Flash, but then all of a sudden they didn't like the movie, so they don't buy all the stuff. So you're clearancing out all the stuff.
And yet you turn around and you get the sleeper hit of the century that you happen to have 3 items.
Or you have nothing. And, you know, or they haven't done anything. So what really happens in this industry that's really weird is, like, especially with anime, is that the animes will come out and then nobody, you know, 200 animes come out a month, nobody knows which one's going to be a hit. Well, then when one starts to become a hit, they don't just necessarily have product for it. They have to develop product for it, and that takes 6 months to a year, because they'll develop, okay, we're going to do X, Y, and Z, and then they have to make X, Y, and Z, then they have to make sure the colors X, Y, and Z are right, then they send it to the person who's buying them, and then they go, no, I don't like that color, I want it this color. It goes back and forth. It could take up to a year to a year and a half before any product comes out for that. And at that point, maybe something different came along and nobody wants that product. So that's where it becomes very difficult in this industry, is that you could have something where, quite honestly, every single person comes in for a week asking for this item. You're like, okay, yeah, I had 20 people ask for this item. I'm ordering 10 of it.
Right.
It gets in and nobody buys it. Or you could have nobody ask about something and everybody comes in and asks about it. So it's a very difficult thing.
And yet you also have the opportunity that you get that sleeper hit that nobody was expecting, and it all goes like hotcakes.
So here's a great example. So you buy something, it doesn't move.
Right.
You just keep it back. You store it for a year or two. Then guess what? Nobody else has it available, and you've still got a whole bunch of it, and now everybody wants it. So you had something that you could have sold for $13 2 years ago, now $30, $40, $50, $60 each. So you got to be able to understand you can take those wins out of what had been a loss. So
that's a lot of storage.
That's like a thing that people don't understand. That's why you've seen my storage area. I have a lot of stuff. And, you know, they're not all going to do that, but you do get those times where you get that item where, shoot, you know, you may have made $20 off of 6 of them, and now you're making $20 off of each one. So you got to celebrate your wins as well as celebrate your losses, because it is what it is.
Is this store your personal collection, or do you have one at home?
No, this is not my personal collection. I do have some things here in my personal collection that I just haven't taken home yet. But yes, I collect a lot of stuff. Like, I collect things that I enjoyed, like When I first got into Funko Pops, they made ones for the movie The Fifth Element. I love the movie The Fifth Element. I find ones that I like shows that I like, and I get them. I've gotten my wife ones. My wife's a big Duran Duran fan. I got her the Duran Duran sets. We have those kind of things. I collect just things I like. Designer art toys are a big thing. I love designer art toys because they're limited. There's not as many of them, and you're not just going to go into somebody's house and see one. So my collection's all over the place. I'm very eclectic, but I do love a little bit of everything.
And that brings us to the Visioneer game. Now, Visioneers, if you're not familiar with the way the game works, I have a random word generator here on my phone. I have no idea what the random words the generator is going to create, but more importantly, neither does our guest. And our guest has to take each of 3 words that I give him and somehow associate each word with his business. Now, you know, Jim, that the fate of the entire toy industry, not just collectibles, but the toy industry, is based upon your ability to get these 3 words correct. And if you don't, children of all ages are going to be absolutely distraught because all of their toys will just magically disappear.
That may be a good thing.
It doesn't bode well. Okay, your first.
Customers on what they're looking for. That's why it's always important to speak with them and talk with them.
Well done. That's 1 for 1.
We're on another high five without
there
the
we
pen.
go. There we go. Sounds good. Sounds good. Our second word is Prince.
Well, in the collectibles industry, you can actually get Prince Funko Pops.
Right.
You can also get princes from Disney shows. You can get the Prince of England. With collectibles, princes are actually very important because that is what a lot of people that grew up with the someday my prince will come,
right?
The Disney type stuff of, they love that. There was always a princess or prince, and that was a very vital part to the story. So it is big in collectibles.
Well done. That's 2 for 2. We're on a roll. Now it comes down to, oh boy, peace.
In this industry, it's perfect. So a lot of items come with a piece count, meaning that they've only created so many pieces. We have Bruce Lee Funko Pop that there's only 250 pieces. We've got Funko Pop that there's only 480 pieces. Those piece counts in collectibles and toys means that they are that much more collectible. They're that much more of where you're not just going to walk into somebody's house and see the exact same piece. And we talk about all these. Every single thing here can become a piece of your collection.
3 for 3. The world of collectibles and toys is safe at last. All because of you.
I worked on it. You know.
Did you rehearse and practice in front of the camera before the interview because you've seen this on the show before?
No. I'm just very skilled.
You were referred to us by Laura Lee Blake, the owner of Montana Sky. How do you know her?
My wife and her are friends through church and the women's group. And my wife told me that she also has a small business called Montana Sky. And we started on Instagram following each other and promoting each other in our stories to help each other as a small business. One of the things I love to do is promote other small businesses in my stories. I get maybe a couple hundred views a day, right? Which, in my opinion, for a small business, any view is a great view, right? So we kind of have developed that. I talk about her business, she'll talk about my business, and that to me is a great thing because small businesses need to work together to build each other up.
I have to ask, with all the inventory you have here, tell me the biggest, worst toy debacle that you've ever had to go through.
They created a new Masters of the Universe called the Masterverse.
I remember that when I was a kid.
And everybody loves Masters of the Universe. Well, they created a new one on Netflix, and I bought thinking everybody's going to want this new Masterverse stuff, and no.
Crickets,
I'm still stuck with a ton of it. And That has been like that just happens though. I mean, what can you do? You're gonna win, you're gonna lose. You just hope you win more times than you lose.
What was the one that came out of left field that you never expected to take off?
I have a daughter who just graduated high school last year, and she, as we were building the store, she would tell me about different programs and that she really liked, and she told me about this game called Sally Face and how much she loves this Sally Face.
Right.
Well, they brought out Funko Pops for it.
Right.
Bought a bunch of them because my daughter said they were great.
Right.
And they didn't start off great.
Oh no.
And they didn't sell very well. But as time went on, they became more and more and more valuable to where these things that I'm stuck with are now worth 10 times more than they were when I got them.
Wow.
My daughter was right, and I was getting mad for the wrong reasons. But it just turns out that, sometimes you just have to have patience and wait, because not every bad thing is going to be bad forever. There's always going to be a silver lining on some of it.
And that brings us to our second Visioneer question, which is also brought to you by Mike Saba, a Zillow Premier agent with Watson Realty, selling Bakersfield homes since 1992. Give Mike Saba a call at 661-203-8406 or reach him at mikesaba1@icloud.com today. And Visioneer Maddie asks, we're looking at using celebrity partnerships to increase brand perception. What have you done that works?
We've been lucky enough to have, when we first opened up this location, we got followed by Gabriel Iglesias. And he, liked our post, and lots of people got excited and actually wanted to come inside. We didn't pay him anything, nothing. It just happened to be a simple like can go a long way. And then this last year, we got approached by Mick Foley. I don't know if you know who Mick Foley is. WWE Hall of Famer, Mick Foley, Mankind, Dude Love, Cactus Jack. And they said, would you like to have him come into your store and do an in-store signing? And, I know a little bit about WWE, and I'm like, yeah, of course I would love to have somebody come here. I don't know if it's going to be good or great or okay.
Right.
And it turned out fantastic. We had about 300 people show up that day, and everybody loved it. Mick was an amazing person. And what that did was that lent a little credibility to our location, our store, that, we do bring in people. And to start this year, we had Lou Ferrigno come in, who plays the Hulk, who was Mr. Universe,
right?
Two-time Mr. Universe.
Right.
And these show people, like in the collectibles industry and in the toy industry, is that, hey, every once in a while they're going to get somebody in that I want to come and meet. And it's not every day in Bakersfield you have a celebrity just come into your store.
How does this raise the profile to the general public who may not know anything about your store?
Well, what it does for us was that it got us on the news. It got other people to talk. So somebody who wouldn't maybe know that there's a toy store over here got to find out about it. We're a huge word of mouth place, and WWE people love to talk to each other. Guys that go to the gym love to talk to each other. So we got a lot of word of mouth, and it got people in our store that didn't necessarily know we even existed. Having a celebrity needs to be somebody who has something to do with what your store does. I mean, if I brought in a celebrity that nobody knows about, it's not going to do the same thing. But if it's somebody that they look to and admire and they like, it's going to lend that credibility to, hey, this place is a real place. It's bringing in real celebrities. The products they sell are real, great prices. The guy that worked there is kind of goofy, but will still show up anyhow.
But you've also done something remarkable too, because you've got a guest coming back.
Yes.
Because of the relationship you built with him. He didn't have to come back.
No. Mick Foley, when he did the last show, and we were sitting there, myself, Mick, and my family, and he told us that the show that he did was literally one of the top shows he's ever done in a store. It was pretty awesome. I mean, we had a DJ, we had a taco vendor outside, we gave away prizes, we did a lot of things to, promote the event, and we wanted to have something that was great. And he enjoyed it so much and enjoyed the people of Bakersfield so much that he decided to come back. So he's going to be coming back here on November 1st of 2025.
You've developed quite a following on Instagram. So much so that you've had a celebrity, or 2 or 3 or 4, begin to follow you as well. How did you curate that and make that happen?
Most of that's pure luck.
Okay.
One of them is because with Gabriel Iglesias, I actually commented on how nice of signatures he does when he signs items, that he makes them legible, they look nice. It went back and forth with that, and he started following me, and that's how we got that.
You asked real questions. You weren't just some groupie.
Yeah, in this industry, there are a lot of famous people that like this stuff, and they'll follow the smaller shops because some of us have stuff that not everybody else has. And that's what's kind of great about this industry is you can go to a shop in the middle of Oklahoma and it may have stuff you can't find anywhere else. Or you come to one in Bakersfield, California, and we're going to have stuff that not everybody else has. One of the things I started from the beginning when I built the store and was building Instagram is to make sure my face was on there. That sounds really weird to some people, but it lends that I'm a real person. It's not just some computer thing done in China that's trying to just take your money. I'm a real person. I show pictures of the store, pictures of the product. Sometimes I talk about the products. That was built so that people would get to know that, hey, we are real. We are here to take care of customers, and it's a place to come to.
It's no secret that there are a lot of business owners right now that are struggling. And yet we have a platform to help encourage business owners, to let them know that not all hope is lost. And this is something that you've been advocating too, like with Laura Lee, you're supporting other businesses on your Instagram and the like. What do you say to the business owners to let them know that, yeah, it's going to be okay?
It's just to not give up. I mean, it can be tough at times, but that's life, right? I mean, we're not guaranteed anything any day. You got to put in the work, you got to put in the time. The main thing is that never give up. I always think about the story of the Nevada silver mine, where the guy who owned the silver mine gave up and, he just walked away from it. And then someone bought the mine, and instead of just doing the same thing that guy was doing, he went in there and he hired the right geologists and everything, and he found the largest silver deposit ever. Sometimes you just need to step back and maybe start over and not give up. Right now it is tough. The main thing is to make sure that you always offer the best service. You treat the people exactly how you want to be treated, and you want to be able to create return customers. Jim,
this has been a real treat. Thank you for joining us here on Small Business Celebration.
No, thank you for having me. You guys are amazing.
Well, thank you. Thank you. We love being here. And speaking of here, where are we?
We're at KRRJ Collectibles at 1410 Weibel Road, Suite 102. We're across the street from the mall. We're kind of tucked back in the back over there, but once you find us, you'll be able to find us all the time. You can also find us on Instagram as KRRJ Collectibles, as well as Facebook as KRRJ Collectibles. If you see something online that you would like to get on Instagram or Facebook, you can message us and we can let you know how much shipping is and what it would take to get it to you, and we can take care of you through there.
And I'll be right back with my final thought. Don't make people think. Don't let people think. Not that long ago, we were invited to another business to help them clarify their message and help put some minor touches on their sales process. And when we asked them, well, what is it that you do? What do you have to offer customers? They were very proud, and they said, well, we have this product and this product and this product and that product and this product and that product and the other thing that's over here. And then I asked, well, when you start pulling information out of the customer on what they need, how do you explain this? Well, we ask them if they need this or this or this or that and the other thing. Unless they need to change, then we go ahead and say, oh, but we can make this adjustment and that adjustment. We can add this other product over here. Oh, by the way, if you also need third-party product support, we can also do this and this and this and this. And we can add that and that and that and this and that and the other thing. And finally, my head was spinning, and I finally told them, stop! Don't let people think. You see, I've been in this position myself as a business owner. There are so many things that we can help our customers with. It's just, where do we start? This is fun. The problem is your customer isn't ready for this fire hose of information. It's sort of like, you got to go back to the basics. There's a national moving company that rents trucks out, and they have a brilliant ad campaign on the back of their truck. It simply says, your queen size mattress can fit in this truck. That's it. People know that when they see that truck and they're thinking about moving, they know their queen size mattress can fit in that truck. Who are they going to call? So if you're wondering why maybe your sales isn't working right now, maybe it's the messaging. Perhaps what you need to take a step back, simplify it, and realize, don't let people think. I hope you enjoyed our conversation this week here on Small Business Celebration. I hope you learned something that you can use today to build a strong and profitable business. And we'll see you here again next week when we celebrate another small business making a big breakthrough.
If I was restarting my collectible journey, the first thing I would do is find myself micro niches, because I would not go into full collections, which is what I had done for a while. I would go, oh, I need everything from this. Then I got a bunch of stuff I just didn't want. The thing I always say is only get what you want, what makes you feel good. When you look at it, you go, man, I've got that, it's mine, I'm happy. Don't buy things that don't make you happy. One of the best things about having a collectible store is inventory is actually good, because the more you have, the more people have to see. So you're not just trying to get rid of inventory. It'd be great if you could churn through all of your inventory, but that's not always going to happen. So sometimes you just end up having inventory. We do clearance out something after it's been here a couple of years. Maybe it's not as collectible, it's just something or it gets damaged. Let's move on from it and get rid of it. The difference between a toy and collectible is nothing. They can be either one. It depends on how long it's been around. You can buy a toy and someone plays with it, it becomes a toy. You can buy a toy and you can give it away, it can become a collectible. Not everything that they call collectible is collectible. A collectible is to what a person wants to collect. Never ever do this to a collectible. Never step on it. If you want to have it as a collectible, keep it in the best shape you possibly can. With Funko Pops, you can put them in protectors, it keeps the dust off. You can put them on your shelf, they look great. But at the same time, if you pull it out of its box and you stick it on the shelf, it gets dusty, it gets ruined, it's going to lose some of that collectability. 3 ways to preserve your collectibles is buy cases. I like to tell people to rotate their collections, meaning to pull out something, put something back. You know, don't have your whole collection out all the time if it's rather large. Break it down into smaller things and you can keep some of it away. The worst thing for collectibles is dust. Dust is really sticky. And you know, a lot of these things are cardboard. Cardboard and water doesn't work together. So you want to keep the dust off as much as possible. You can buy yourself some nice glass cases, or if they're Funko Pops, you can actually get cases for them. And you ruin the case, you don't ruin the product. In my opinion, you should never buy Minnesota Vikings stuff. I'm just kidding. Okay, so in my opinion, you should never ever buy anything because you think it's going to become worth more money. That is the worst thing you could ever do. Yes, some of these can become investments, but if something goes down from what you paid for it, you're going to walk by that thing and hate it every single day. And that's not what you want. You want to buy something that you enjoy and love, and then if down the road it becomes worth more money, awesome. If it doesn't become worth money, who cares, because you loved it. Best thing to do to a 2-year-old when you bring them to a toy store is come see me first, grab a little lollipop, let them get that lollipop going and give you a little bit of time. The main thing is, and most parents do this, is to not have them grab everything and run around. Running around is where they could get hurt. A collectible is a collectible. That's why we have ones that are locked up. We have ones that aren't locked up. So they can't ruin the more expensive stuff.